Not one, not five, not 10, but 20 reasons to stop your studies before the age of 20. And what's more, if I were you, how will I explain it to your parents? The first reason, and we start straight away, is that school has been the same for a century. Yes, school with a teacher, 10, 20, 30, 40 pupils in front of him, textbooks and the same curriculum every year, that's over 100 years old. Except that in online business, the business changes every 6 months. So, in fact, there's a conflict of reality here. And I'm going to ask you, if you don't believe me for the first reason, don't worry, there are going to be 19 others even stronger. Imagine what your teacher will do today in online business. Do you think your teacher could resist the aggressive marketing of Alex Hormozy, the community of super friends of your favorite guru, the adverts of new editor trainers selling their editing training products? Obviously not. Quit the school, even if it means being below your best mates. In fact, as the years go by, it's going to be a positive cumulative effect. Let's move on to reason number 2. Whoever tries to catch 2 rabbits catches none. How many times during our studies did we say to ourselves, there's no point in taking physics and chemistry. I don't give a damn about working on affine functions in maths. Why is a calculator bad for midterm exams? I had 15 subjects at school, man. In my job, I'm not trying to do 12 subjects. I'm not trying to be good at medicine, good at law, good at tax, good at accounting. No, there are AIs for that. There are small subscriptions for that. For example, Sage Accounting, SAGE, which does all the work for you, costs $14 a month. What's the point of having so much material? Imagine the loss of skills if you were not concentrating on just one subject. Not everyone can do it, but the guy who can do 50% on the other hand is rich in 3 years. What you need to understand is the opportunity cost you pay every day for courses in I don't know how many subjects, while you in fact will become rich with just one thing. Why do I say one thing? Because it refers to the book The One Thing. If you're average in your life, it's often because you're doing too many things. When I'm not being productive, the best advice I can give myself is, what should I cut out? It's not what I should do better. No, it's what I should cut out. People say, what should I actually do? What more do I have to do to become rich? What more do I need to do to look better, to be more influent, and so on? No, the problem is more often what you don't do rather than what you do. That's from the Tribe of Mentors. And the end of the quote is why I like to ask the question about not to-do lists. Reason number 3, would you rather learn from your economics teacher, learn from your physics teacher, your maths teacher, or learn from, for example, Charles Gave, Idris Abrakan, Tammy Cabbage, maybe myself, according to you, the tutor of Benoit Rousseau, your teachers? It's all a Ponzi scheme. There's a reason why I think most of the business schools are going to close in the next few years. Because, in fact, companies are becoming increasingly aware of the deception, because we're sending them overqualified students who have done nothing in their lives, who are obedient, who don't know how to take the initiative, because school, as Charles Gave says, punishes risk. Why do our teachers think they're good? Because, in fact, our teachers were pupils before, and they were good pupils, except that today's good pupils are people who can only succeed in their studies, so they become teachers. Reason number 4, take away the social aspect of school, and what's left, man? What's left? What's left are some lousy afternoons. Do you remember classes with a strict teacher where we could not talk? I would finish the course, I could not take it anymore. Our motivation when we went to class was to make friends, that's true. To have a laugh with the pretty girls, that's true. To make friends, to see our mates again. But if you take that away, it's a private lesson. Sometimes private lessons were even offered for free at the end of the course. And there were 2 students out of 2,000. It's not for nothing that school doesn't interest anyone. The proof of this is that during the lockdown, When there were lessons at home, who took the lessons at home? Most of them cheated or dropped out. Fifth reason, when you are young, you spend most of your time studying. We never remember our first 2 years of life. So, if you're still in school, you've actually experienced all your memories in school. Except that the life of your parents, the life of the people you see in the street, the life of your relatives, and the life hidden by your friends and girlfriends is in fact a good rat's life. The proof is that they don't measure you by your intelligence or creativity, they measure you by your obedience and robotic productivity. You have no say in the matter. You don't believe that. You say to yourself that you want to study engineering, or maybe you're studying medicine or something, but have you ever been to a hospital? And the same goes for the law and everything else. Today, with ChatGPT, what's the point of practicing law? Maybe the state hasn't realized it yet, but it's going to realize it in 6 or 8 years' time. What are you going to do with your law degree? Maybe you're going to business consulting. Is that how they retrain? But for how long? Do you think that companies are not even less stupid than the state? So, inevitably, as far as I'm concerned, we're heading straight for the wall, and it's very hard to get out of the condition of being a popular young person or a young person on social proof. Given that everyone is doing the same thing, everyone your age is doing the same thing, you don't want to be seen as an idiot for trying something new, but those who are most settled in this world are people who have at some point experienced a state of unwanted loneliness. And it's ultimately in this unwanted loneliness that they're going to find their productivity, their skills to develop, their future financial success. Yes, you are young. Yes, you might think you have superpowers, that you are more intelligent than everyone else. Everyone thinks that. What's exceptional, on the contrary, is understanding that everyone else is normal. You're just a rat who has to feed the duff to the bosses. Sixth reason, every dollar you don't invest today, you'll either have to work for or invest 50 times more to recoup the gain you could have had in cryptocurrencies if you had been smarter about your work. You should not look to work harder, look to work smarter instead. Working smart today in our generation means taking advantage of the absolutely grand opportunity. I'm completely exposed to cryptocurrencies, for example, so I know what I'm talking about. Crypto opportunities like that, even if you're younger, even if you have less capital, whatever you want, we've all started somewhere already, of course. And the best time to buy cryptocurrencies was 5 years ago. The new best time is today. And in 5 years' time, the best time to buy crypto is going to be today. Some people will take this video as just another piece of entertainment, as a bit of a kick up the ears, but not necessarily of life. No, take this video as a slap in the face. You have to change everything if things are not going well for you. If things start to go well, you change perhaps pro rata, you change 80%. It's as if what I'm telling you is actually being sold for thousands of dollars. Others, with a bit more marketing and advertising, create training courses based on what I'm telling you here. So keep that in mind. We are lucky that it's free. Everything you don't invest in crypto, if you look at the curve of the random network, for example, to have the same number of random networks in 3 years as in, oh damn, oh yes, I should have invested in crypto. Let's go. I'll put in $400 or $800 or $1,000. In fact, you'll have to put in maybe $50,000 instead to have the same amount of renders that you would have had if you had been smart and you had put in that amount today. Today, BitAnswer is worth $400. And what does that mean? You're going to say, too bad, but it's not serious. No, that's bullshit thinking. Either you're satisfied or you're frustrated. And very often, frustration leads to progress. Yes, there is pain, but as Schopenhauer says, in life, you're either bored or in pain. On the other hand, when you're in pain, you're making progress, and progress makes you happy. David Goggins style. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's rubbish. Yes, it's snowing and so on. But the feeling I get afterwards when I'm the only one running with a smile on my face, when there is nobody else in the streets, that's when I feel like a top 1% because it's true. As a result, you're a top 1% in your actions. My biggest regret in life is that when I was 10, I should have stopped school and invested in cryptos. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Dash, Monero, all that. I should have invested in that. Today, I would be a multi-millionaire. I might have $120 million to my name. That much money gives you that much freedom. Why did our parents have to keep their mouths shut when the boss was unhappy or when they were dealing with the sons of people with connections and so on? Because our parents were poorer than they were. Money lets you say never again. Seventh reason you never get rich, I tell you, if all you do is work. You will become rich if all you do is invest. And then the first thing that comes into your head is yes, but I also invest on the side. But no, man, it's not on the side. Because in fact, when you spend 10 hours a day at school with transportation, eating there, go for recreation, whatever, you don't even count revision in that. How much time do you have left to invest? It's completely unbalanced. First of all, it's the investment, because the investment is not going to depend on your work. Your work is fragile. Tomorrow, in a year, in 6 months, in 2 years, you won't be able to get any more out of your job. What you need to do is capitalize as much as possible when you still enjoy your job, or at least when it's still tolerable, when you're having fun at work. When you're at school, does school teach you how to invest in school? Really, I was at business school and they never taught me how to invest. Tammy Cabbage has more money than my economics teacher. And who pays my economics teacher? Does my economics teacher get a return on his investment? Not at all. He's an employee. He gives lessons. Yes, but as I was explaining to the people who worked with me, or who still work with me, or who will still work with me, for example, if you're a graphic designer, for a YouTuber, me, anyone, the aim is not to make a miniature. That's worth nothing. It's $0. What's the point? The aim is for the guy to get clicks on his thumbnail. Do you understand what I mean? Because we can't write grades, employers can't give grades, but the money you earn, or whether or not the relationship is cut short, is ultimately your grade. In theory, an economics teacher should be paid from the money we manage to generate during the first or 2 years he teaches. When I arrive on the job market, I'm even poorer than when I was born. I have no money at all. Why don't I have any money? Because I didn't earn a living at school. So keep that in mind. My economics teacher, whoever he is, he's paid for by my taxes today. Maybe he's paid for by your parents' taxes, your next taxes are going to pay for this guy. Says Habib Nurmagomedov, his children's education is more important than their schooling. Do you know what's scary? 90% of parents have spent less time with their children than a teacher of an important subject. Reason number 8, uncensored. I promise you it's like nothing else here. You can lie on your resume. So, why are you going to bother with diplomas? At first, I played the game when I was in crossing the desert and had to look for a permanent job. When I saw that with my qualifications, my young age, my level of experience, that you know the joke about comedians, you want experience, yes, but if you don't give it to me, I can have it, we won't go back about that. Well, actually, I could not find anything. The resume is just the first step. It's the first step. It's in knocking mode. Do you want to knock on this door? Only master's students can knock on this door. Okay, let's knock. You can lie about a degree. Now you're going to tell me about the exceptions, maybe in medicine and so on. Obviously, I'm not talking about being a cardiologist here, but all these service professions, so 80% of the studies we do are bogus studies. The ninth reason is that most companies these days, especially online, ask for tests rather than diplomas. So at the end of the day, you're killing yourself studying for nothing. This can take the form of a real trial period. It can take the form of a test or exercise given to you during interviews, even to test your knowledge. I have a friend in law school and she was asked to test her knowledge in the form of a kind of short exam given by the company. It was a surprise test of knowledge. For my part, online very often, and this is what is done practically all the time, it's send me your portfolio. Do I ask the guys graphic design studies or the guys editing studies or the guys app coding studies? No, I'm asking for the project he's done before. If the person has never done a project, you can be in either situation, recruiter or employee. In that case, we very often ask for an initial free test lasting 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe 1 month if the project is long. What I generally do is that if I keep the guy, at the end, I pay him as if it had been a normal month or 2 normal weeks or 1 normal week. 10th reason, you will have several jobs in your life. When I was born, they said you might have 7 jobs in your life. When my parents were born, people did 1 or even 2 jobs in their lives. If we follow their logic, listen to me. What are you going to do? You're going to do 5 master's degrees to make sure you have the knowledge you need for 5 different jobs, which you'll do until you're 40. Then you're 40. You will carry on until you're 80. You're going to do 4 more master's degrees and then start again when you are 80. Do you see how dumb logic is? The future entrepreneurial, financial or investment opportunities you'll be offered will require the right profile at the right time with the right budget. Absolutely not the right qualifications. Before making a decision, I don't say to myself, I'm going back to study, how can I reorient myself to be able to invest in cryptocurrencies? Do you understand what I mean? Especially as teachers today, you see, as soon as you're given a bit of free time, where are you going to train, dude? First, free, then paid. Where do you go to learn? On YouTube. You use AIs like Snapfeed or ChatGPT. I myself use books to make your choices or to become more intelligent, to have more reasoning, because books are data that we haven't yet experienced. These books prevent us from making mistakes in the future. You read the future, in fact, you make sure, like a bit of cheat code, that you have the most exponential path possible thanks to the book. As soon as you're given a choice, you don't try to redirect yourself in the evening. As far as I know, you don't study several subjects. As far as I know, you're not at 2 institutions at the same time. The 11th reason is that in studies, everyone advances at the same pace, which is ridiculous for those who advance faster than others. This is a book I found by chance, The End of Average, which is fantastic about school. In fact, it's going to completely red pill you on studies, because studies are above all a business plan. Studies are a business model. I don't want to be too conspirational here. Maybe some parents will see the video. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to frighten you. But find out, for example, about the number of public schools in the United States. Tammy Kabbage was talking about this, that closed during the COVID. Studies are Ponzi schemes. Our social problems also stem from the fact that education is not good. The proof of that is this sentence. I think it's from Mark Twain in one of my books. I think it's Tools of Titans or Tribe of Mentors. I've never let education interfere with my self-education. Do you understand this sentence? When you learn by yourself in your own way, that's self-education. What you're doing here is self-education. There's no being late with me. You don't come to my class because if you don't, you will be kicked out of my school. You will be kicked out of my YouTube channel. Do you understand? You come because you want to, because it appeals to you. You like it. In spite of everything, you are absent. In spite of everything, you are late. In spite of everything, you didn't revise. In spite of everything, you missed tests. I think there are some people here who remember my videos, my punchlines, my quotes, my reasoning much more than the stuff in class. You've had 10,000 courses in your life, 40,000 in your life, 100,000 in your life. But what do you do with all the good ones? And does that make you want to be good too? To get into Harvard with students of a nationality other than American, there are advantages and disadvantages. The 12th reason is that most of the online training courses sold at a high price, high ticket is a new fashion, are based on books. For example, The Art of War or Thus Spoke Zarathustra, whatever. Most of the books sum up years of study. Why is that? Because quite simply, we saw the teacher teaching, but the teacher was teaching from his textbooks, except that basically the book is not any good. That's the difference. In the end, I'm just like your teacher, except that I have better books, which means better information, which means better results. But knowledge is basically the same process. When you fantasize about studies, in the end, studies are just bad books. So read, for example, Understand the Empire or Psychology of Crowds or Selling Luxury. It will be better than your days at school, or at least your last week at school. The 13th reason is that while you're studying, the only thing you're putting off is realizing that you don't actually enjoy it. You didn't like it from the start, and that's an extremely risky mentality. What works everywhere is to do lots of tests without ego, even if it means wallowing, even asking for reviews on anything, on your work, your videos, the way you talk, your clothes. I studied for 20 years and personally, as I remember, we didn't want to test the reality of the field. That's why we never wanted to go into work-study program. We never wanted to do internships. We found internships with mom, dad, or someone we knew. That's all. What are we going to call it? We will call it the fear of not studying. I'm a friend of anything that doesn't look like a classroom, and I certainly don't want to be confronted with the real thing. Reason number 14, there are a lot of students who have already tried to educate themselves, to take an interest even before or after their studies, to get involved in different projects alongside their studies. What's more, that's the first thing our parents tell us. Yes, okay, but you do it on the side. Okay, but you can do it on the side when you have time after your homework, for example, or after your midterms or whatever. That's something completely accepted. We all have the same parents, guys. Give or take 85%, we all have the same parents. The thing is, when you start your own business, who's going to have the best months of their life in the first months? Nobody. At the beginning, you don't know how to quit, you don't even have any products, you don't know how to do anything, you have no skills. In fact, you have to learn everything yourself because you can't even delegate, you have no money, and you don't even know who's telling the truth, who's telling lies, who's competent, who is not. That's from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You need to have financial skills before delegating your money to a group of investors, for example, because otherwise anyone can tell you anything. There are online trainers who specialize in beginners. Why do you think that is? Go on, tell me why. Do you think it's because they are beginners themselves? Not necessarily. They are often the richest. Why do you think that is? Because they are the cheapest. You just have to do A plus B. And the person, there is a wow effect. Because in fact, as you have no skills, you're going to believe the one who promises you the most hope, the most gold rush. When I talk, I'm talking to a different part. When I say, guys, obviously, you're going to have to go through 8 months to 2 years of crossing the desert. For the best, it's a journey through hell. I'm just saying that we're talking to two completely different types of people. Except that for me, it's maybe 5% of people out of 100%. But 5% of people who are gifted, talented, intelligent, who have no ego and who are capable of working both individually and together. Of course, you're going to hit a few stops, and that's normal because I've been through it 100 times more, maybe before you, to avoid just that. Because I know what's real. I know when everyone is keeping their mouths shut, as Goggins says, when everyone is got their head down. I was in that situation. I love when it happens. I enjoy it when it happens. You can feel it. I live for this shitty feeling. Guys, you need to be able to breathe in mud. Who's talking to you like that? Do you agree with me? Other people don't tell you that. Nobody tells you that. And because these guys actually get rich by lying to you. They tell you it's going to be easy, that they are already overloaded with money. No, they are overloaded with money thanks to whom? I started YouTube because I was already making a living from cryptocurrencies. So everything was already secure. I could allocate time to an activity and perhaps later offer ultra profitable products with quality because I have a work ethic and I certainly don't want anyone to feel cheated. But when you start, you're going to hit walls. And how are you going to explain that to people? If you told people that you are going to find a crazy opportunity that in 60 days you would be overloaded with money, I know a few people. I had some best friends who were making income plans for 2022, 2020, 2023. You talk to everyone about it and afterwards all you get are stops. And it's the online trainers you paid 1,500 who come and apologize to you to help you? Absolutely not. You've come across as a smooth talker, a liar. How are you going to explain yourself to your parents afterwards? I'm thinking about it because there are already guys who have talked to me about this, who have said, damn, I told my parents I was going to succeed in 30 days. I got my mom to invest in stuff, in this and that. In the end, it was all nonsense. You must not be influenced by social proof. Yes, it's easier, it's more fun to laugh at all the fake laughers and stuff. When you're at home, behind the computer, really mate, you won't get any girls. I'm telling you, you won't get any girls. No one is going to come up to you and say, I'm interested in your life, you're very popular and all that. No, you won't see anyone. Social status is completely dead, almost non-existent. I've been there. You're going to be going away for years if you don't do some street flirting, without having sex, without dipping your biscuit. So keep that in mind. Obviously, behind the difficulty, there is value, but you have to accept the difficulty. That's when you realize you have to know how to breathe in the mud, my friend. Reason number 15, your parents are the reason you're continuing your studies. At least that's the case 50% of the time. They got us into education. Why did they do that? Because they themselves haven't solved life. You have to be bloody stupid to want to go to work. I'm not rich, but working in rich mode like me, that is choosing my job, yes, 100%. On the other hand, working like everyone else outside. 16th reason, and that's about self-education and education. Here, I'm going to ask you to do a sort of ratio. How much do you invest, as Tai Lopez says, in your self-education per month? How much do you invest per month? And the same goes for time. How much do you put in or invest? In the end, it's all the same. It's the investment too, even if it's not financial. Time is more important than money. How much do you invest of your energy, of your free time? How much do you also sacrifice? I really like this notion of sacrifice, dedication, hard work in your self-education versus education. It's the same for employees as for setting up your own business. In the beginning, you're going to have to do both. If you're working with transport and all 10 hours a day as an employee and you're trying to work hard as well, so you have no energy, tired for 1 hour every night, man, there's a problem there, alright? At some point, either you're a whore, and I'm telling you the truth because things need to be said. Either you're a whore, so in that case, you're wasting your time. There's no point in what you're doing. You're competing with guys who spend 11 hours of their day doing this. How can you compete with them if you work for 1 hour, tired and uncreative? I'm telling you, I'm not telling dreams, I'm telling you the truth. You can feel it. And it's logical too. It's going to be the same if you want to be an entrepreneur between education and self-education. Bearing in mind that in the beginning, of course, you have to carry your balls. You have to take more risks. If you're an employee, go and get unemployment benefit. If you are away from your parents, away from home, go back to your parents. If you have to apologize, do it. You will save $400 on rent and $200 on food every month. That's 600 quid. If you had put 600 quid on the render network 1 year ago, it might be worth $60,000 today. That's when you can buy. And buy where? It doesn't have to be where you live. Can you see how everything unlocks when you start thinking like a rich person? The 17th reason is that when you're a graduate, particularly an overgraduate, it's going to be very hard for you to adapt to reality if it's different from what you expected. If you start straight away as a doctor, for example, it's very hard to say to yourself, I'm going to be a content creator on YouTube. I'm starting from 0 subscribers to talk about politics, for example. It's really hard. You've done absolutely nothing in 25 or 30 years to succeed in this field. So that's obviously a mistake, but it's better to realize the mistake too early than too late. 18th reason, most of your teachers out of 100, will say 95, are poor. You don't get rich at school. This is a quote from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. You take away the heritage, maybe there was one rich teacher. Do you think that As a rich person, you're going to be a teacher in 2, 4, or 8 years' time, respecting timetables when the bell rings and you have to go and teach people who are not even listening to you. Would not you rather earn less than him or have less money than him, but live in Marrakesh, Gadir, or Bali rather than shout at 14-year-olds? Quiet, shh, that's the school. 19th reason, leave a like on the video, take notes of course of the whole video, that's the most important thing for me. Comment on the video, you've got to blow it up there, you've got to blow it up in terms of referencing, and do it on all my videos in fact. I hope that the quantity of quality content is there. YouTube is the best value for money school you can find anywhere in the world. Personally, I will never send my children to school, but they will go on YouTube, and I will set up a search algorithm, even if it means getting a special phone. My advice to parents is not to put their children into cartoons because they're the best nannies they can get, not to play crappy games, not even to put them in prison at home, in other words, to control everything. It's not possible, it's the opposite. To try to attract the child's curiosity, to talk to them as if they were an adult, to make them take responsibility, make them realize that there is actually a very instructive side to YouTube too. I used to think that YouTube was all about video reviews by Itani. I used to think that YouTube was all about that, but absolutely not. Even back then, on YouTube, there were Olivier Roland, Olivier Saban, and Tammy Cabbage who made great videos on investment, for example, or expatriation, Dubai, Eastern Europe, Switzerland, and they were already talking about a lot of things. Your YouTube algorithm should resemble your future. If there is nothing but squeezy videos, MrBeast and all that, you will have the same YouTube algorithm as an 8-year-old. 20th reason, but not the last, you will understand why. This 20th reason is like an objection I get very often when we're talking about studies. We all have the same one, because everything the morons think, you have to agree with the fact that you've been a moron most of your life. So there is no problem with saying stupid things. On the contrary, I prefer someone who is going to say a lot of stupid things, who is not afraid of failure, because, as Mark Zuckerberg says, often those who succeed are the ones who could actually afford to fail for longer than the others, because inevitably, by testing, by reinvesting, by, like MrBeast, analyzing every video that didn't work, guess what? It's the one who has the most data and the one who has taken the most risks who succeeds more than the others. Often, what you think is something you've heard elsewhere. It's rare to find people who actually believe what they think. I'm telling you, with just 2 or 3 questions, you can make anyone doubt most of their reasoning, because most of the reasoning is education, not self-education. Education for the network, studies for the network. You can be against that, studies for the network. So, the only question I ask these people is, okay, but a network of what? Nobody asks that question. I've been there. They were sending me alumni. Now you're going to say, oh, the Freemasons from such and such a business school. No way, it was just a shitty old Facebook group with no activity whatsoever. Most of the messages were for parties. I've never seen anyone get a job on it. I've never seen anyone offer an assignment from time to time. It's really the scam of the earth. The aim is to make a profit on your property investment, because you could have invested elsewhere. You could have invested in DeFi, in cryptos, and so on. The aim is not to own property. The aim is to make a profit on your property investment. The aim is not to be an owner. You're not doing this for your ego. You're doing this for the long term. You're doing this for your wealth. So be a wolf. What the fuck? Who gives a fuck, bro? I don't give a fuck about that. I don't give a fuck at all. But your parents are 40 years older than you, 30 years older than you, your parents. They're an older generation. It's not the same thing today. What made them is not what will make you. I repeat, what made them is not what will make you. Above all, you must not believe what people in authority say in front of you. It's a principle of influence from the same book by Robert Cialdini. It's like online trainers. I'm a bit at war with them because I've been there, I've been tricked lots of times. And today, if I can help you create a kind of counterpower, a kind of anti-hero, I would be delighted because I've experienced that. Are you familiar with the supply and demand graph? We're here for value. What's the point? Are you going to believe the high ticket? Who does the high ticket serve? It serves the seller, not the buyer. The bonus in the video, you stayed to the end, you deserve it, is how you explain it to your parents. Know that what works best with your parents is not conflict. I've tried conflict, but it doesn't work. Some of my friends also go for conflict. Even today, they tell me that it leads to crying fits and all that. It's really horrible to reject your son's interest, curiosity, and talent for your own ego. Do you think your parents would rather tell their friends that you're doing well at school and that you're going to work in real estate afterwards? Or that you stop studying and concentrate on trading? Who do you think your parents are? Your parents are individuals, first and foremost. They are there for the ego, the status, the responsibility. Every time you make a decision, your father or mother wonders how they're going to explain it to their friends. Does this make sense to you? It's the same thing when you buy a product. When you buy a product, you think, how will people look at me? That's what you tell yourself when you buy a jacket. You don't buy a jacket to say, do I like it? Is it stylish? Is it well cut? You say to yourself, how will other people's opinions change if I invest in this jacket for, say, $125? It's saying that you can go back to school whenever you want. Yes, you can start on the side. Maybe that's what you're going to do. But you have to let them know. If you like it, if it starts to work, if you get your first client, you're going to give it your all because it's the opportunity of a lifetime. You've got to go for it and you're prepared to work 10 hours a day in front of the computer. In any case, you are already going to start. If your mom or dad sees you, work all the time, weekends, evenings, mornings, whenever you want. Reinvest everything. When your dad gives you $20, $40, $100 Christmas presents, you ask for books, you ask for AI subscriptions, you reinvest everything in your project. In fact, your parents are not monsters. So either things come to a head maybe 10% of the time or 90% of the time they will understand. They will understand and they will say to themselves, listen son, if you're stubborn and you want to do your own experiment, go ahead. I'm secretly telling you, they're going to hope that you fail so that you come back to them. And that's the truth. I've even met some of them recently, less than 1 month ago. And that's the truth. It's very rare for parents to put their child's well-being first and not their own ego. Because in fact, they say to themselves, but I was born before him, I know everything. With these books, don't you think we've reached maturity? What works in real life is not politics and big issues for the older generation in the village. We've been past that stage since the Middle Ages, my friend, alright? So, our parents need to wake up to that because today a lot of us are more intelligent than our parents. So these people should have invested in us from the start. I hope they will bank on you in any case, but I hope they will bank on you in any case to save the family. You're going to save them by taking the risk. That's what they can see it, but I can. Easy.